You just got paid. Your checking account finally has a comfortable number in it. You feel good. Then, bam, car registration is due. Your phone bill hits. You remember you owe your friend $20 from last week. And just like that, you're back to basically zero. Again. You tell yourself, next month I'll actually save something. But next month, it's the same story. Different expenses, same ending. You're trapped in this weird loop where money comes in, money goes out, and nothing ever seems to stick. Here's the thing. This isn't a discipline problem. This isn't because you're bad with money, and it's definitely not because you're not trying hard enough. The reason your first $5,000 is brutally difficult to save has almost nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with math and psychology working against you in ways most people don't even realize. My name is Zach, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people struggle with money, despite having good intentions. If you're someone who feels like you're working hard, making decent money, but can never seem to get ahead or build any kind of financial cushion, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Today, we're talking about something that sounds completely backwards. Why saving your first $5,000 is significantly harder than going from $5,000 to $50,000. And I'm not just talking about it being a little harder. I'm talking exponentially more difficult. Once you understand why, it'll completely change how you approach building wealth. The math nobody talks about. Look, let's start with the obvious part. When you're starting from zero, every dollar you save represents a massive percentage of your total savings. Your first $1,000, that's infinite percentage growth from zero. Your second $1,000, that's a 100% increase. But here's what most people don't realize. This works in reverse, psychologically. When you have zero saved and you manage to scrape together $200, then you have an unexpected $150 expense, you just lost 75% of your progress. That's devastating. That's the kind of setback that makes people say, what's the point? Compare that to someone with $45,000 saved going to $50,000. A $150 expense? That's 0.3% of their total. It's completely invisible. They don't even feel it. According to a 2023 report from the Federal Reserve, 37% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense with cash or savings. Think about that. $400. That's not a major medical emergency or a transmission replacement. That's a surprise vet bill or a broken phone screen. And this creates what I call the volatility trap. When you're starting out, your savings are so small that normal life expenses create massive percentage swings. It's like trying to keep water in a bucket that has holes in it. You're pouring in money, but it's leaking out just as fast through 1,000 tiny expenses you didn't plan for. The expense floor problem. Here's where it gets really interesting. There's what I call an expense floor, a baseline level of spending that you basically cannot go below without drastically changing your life. Let's say your rent is $1,200, car payment is $350, insurance is $200, phone is $80, utilities are $150, and groceries are $400. That's $2,380 right there. And we haven't even talked about gas, internet, subscriptions, or literally anything fun. If you're making $3,500 a month after taxes, you've got $1,120 left. Sounds okay, right? But then you need gas, $200, internet, $60, one dinner out with friends, $40, coffee a few times, $25, a birthday gift for someone, $30, your streaming services, $35, and suddenly you're down to $730. Now you might be thinking, okay, but that's still $730 I could save. And theoretically, yes. But here's the brutal truth. Life doesn't work in theory. Your cat gets sick. Your tire gets a nail. Your laptop charger dies. Your best friend is getting married and you need to travel for the wedding. The problem is that when you're operating with thin margins, you have zero room for error. And life is nothing but errors. Someone making $3,500 a month trying to save $500 is operating on a 14% margin. Someone making $8,000 a month with the same expense floor, they're working with a 62% margin. They could have 3 unexpected expenses and still save money that month. The psychological headwind, but the math is actually the easier part to understand. The psychology is what really destroys people. When you're at zero, saving feels like deprivation. Every dollar you put into savings is a dollar you can't spend on something that would make your life better right now. You're living in a small apartment, driving an old car, saying no to friends, and for what? So you can watch a number slowly tick up in an app? There's actual research on this. Behavioral economists call it present bias. Our brains are wired to overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future benefits. And this bias is strongest when you're under financial stress. A 2019 study from Princeton found that financial stress actually reduces cognitive capacity. When you're worried about money, you perform worse on cognitive tests, the equivalent of losing 13 IQ points. You're literally dumber when you're broke, which makes it even harder to make the smart, long-term decisions you need to not be broke anymore. It's a vicious cycle. The comparison trap. And then there's social media, making everything worse. You're trying to save $100 this month, and you're seeing people on Instagram taking trips to Bali, buying new cars, eating at expensive restaurants. Now, intellectually, you know most of that is either fake, financed, or funded by debt. But emotionally, it feels like you're the only one struggling, like you're the only one who has to actually think about money. This creates what psychologists call relative deprivation. You feel poor not based on your absolute wealth, but compared to the people around you. And in the age of social media, the people around you includes everyone living their highlight reel online. So you're fighting against your own biology, fighting against immediate gratification, fighting against social pressure, and fighting against math that makes every setback feel catastrophic. That's why the first $5,000 is so brutal. The shift that changes everything. But here's what happens once you actually get to $5,000. Everything starts working for you instead of against you. First, the psychological shift is massive. $5,000 in the bank means you can handle most normal emergencies without panic. Car repair? Covered. Medical copay? No problem. You're not living in constant low-level anxiety anymore. And when you're not constantly stressed about money, you make better decisions. You're not taking the first job offer because you desperately need the paycheck.
Small delay.
You can negotiate. You're not keeping the terrible apartment because you can't afford moving costs. You can upgrade to something better that might actually save you money long term. Second, the math starts compounding in your favor. Let's say you're saving $400 a month. At zero, it takes you 12.5 months to hit $5,000. That's over a year of discipline, during which any major setback resets your progress significantly. But from $5,000 to $10,000, also 12.5 months at $400 a month. But now you have a cushion. An unexpected expense doesn't reset you to zero, it's just a minor delay. The psychological difference is enormous. And here's the really interesting part. Once you have $5,000 saved, you start seeing opportunities to save more. You can buy things in bulk when they're on sale. You can pay for annual subscriptions up front and save 20%. You can actually negotiate better deals because you're not desperate. The acceleration effect. From $5,000 to $50,000, you experience what I call the acceleration effect. Let's do the math. If you're saving $400 a month, going from $0 to $5,000 takes 12.5 months. Going from $5,000 to $50,000 takes 112.5 months, or about 9.4 years. Wait, you're thinking, that's way longer. How is that easier?
I'm a saver.
You're not just saving $400 a month. month anymore. Once you have momentum, once you have a cushion, once you're making better decisions because you're not financially stressed, your saving rate increases naturally. You get a raise, and instead of lifestyle creep eating all of it, you save 60% of the increase. You pay off your car, and that $350 payment goes straight to savings. You move in with a partner and split rent, saving $600 a month immediately. According to data from Fidelity, the average savings rate for people with less than $10,000 in savings is around 3 to 4% of income. But for people with over $50,000, it jumps to 12 to 15%. That's not because they're making proportionally more money. It's because they've built the systems and habits that make saving easier. Plus, your money starts working for you. $5,000 in a high-yield savings account at 4.5% interest earns you $225 a year. $50,000? That's $2,250 a year, or $187.50 a month without you doing anything. You're literally getting paid to have money. The tactical reality. Okay, so what do you actually do with all this information? Now what? First, recognize that the first $5,000 is a different game than everything that comes after. It requires different strategies. You can't just try harder. You need to engineer your environment. Step 1. Automate the first $1,000 as fast as humanly possible. I don't care if it's $25 a week. Set up an automatic transfer the day after you get paid. The first $1,000 is your beachhead. It's proof that you can do this. For most people earning around $40,000, $60,000 a year, this should take 2 to 4 months maximum, if you're aggressive about it. Step 2. Protect that first $1,000 like it's sacred. This is psychological warfare. You're training your brain that this money is untouchable, except for real emergencies. Not "I really want those shoes" emergencies. "My car won't start and I need to get to work" emergencies. Step 3. Stack small wins. Once you hit that $1,000, celebrate it. Seriously. Take yourself out for a nice dinner or buy something small you've been wanting. You need to associate saving with positive feelings, not just deprivation. Then aim for $2,000, then $3,000. Each milestone gets easier because you're building evidence that you can do this. Step 4. Increase your margin, not just your saving. Look, you can only cut expenses so much. At some point, you need to increase income. That might mean asking for a raise, taking a side gig, or developing a skill that makes you more valuable. From $0 to $5,000, you're probably grinding it out with discipline. From $5,000 to $50,000, you need to actually increase your earning power. Step 5. Use the cushion to make better decisions. Once you have $3,000 to $5,000 saved, start using it strategically. Maybe you can finally leave the terrible roommate situation and get a studio that's actually peaceful, letting you focus on your side business. Maybe you can invest in a certification that gets you a raise.
It's for opportunities.
The emergency fund isn't just for emergencies, it's for opportunities. The brutal truth. Here's what I want you to understand. If you're struggling to save your first $5,000, you're not broken. The system is designed this way. Companies want you spending every dollar. Credit card companies want you carrying a balance. Social media wants you feeling inadequate, so you buy things. The entire economy is optimized to extract money from you as efficiently as possible. Fighting through that to save your first $5,000 is genuinely one of the hardest financial things you'll ever do. It requires you to swim upstream against biology, psychology, social pressure, and mathematical disadvantages. But once you do it, once you prove to yourself that you can build that cushion, the game changes completely. The systems that were working against you start working for you. The psychology flips. The math compounds in your favor. Going from $5,000 to $50,000 isn't 9 times harder than going from $0 to $5,000. It's actually easier because you're not fighting the same battles anymore. You have momentum, you have proof, you have options. So, if you're sitting there with $800 in savings, or $1,500, or even $0, and you feel like you're never gonna get there.
Every dollar
I need
counts.
you to hear this. The game you're playing right now is the hardest part. You're in the toughest stretch.
Building a different
You're fighting
future.
uphill with weight on your back. But every dollar you save right now is worth 10 times
Everything
more than
changes
the
at
dollars you'll save
$5,000.
later. Not in actual value, but in what they represent. They represent you deciding that you're not gonna let the system win. They represent you building a different future for yourself. Get to $5,000
Now go get
and I
it.
promise you, everything changes. The next $45,000 will happen faster than you think because you'll have transformed from someone who's trying to save money into someone who saves money.
Every
That
dollar you
identity
save
shift
now
is
counts
worth more
more.
than any investment return. If this video helped clarify why you've been
Every
struggling,
dollar you
or
save
if
now
you're motivated
counts
to
more.
finally build that emergency fund, hit that subscribe button. I make videos
Build
breaking
your
down the
different
psychology and mathematics of money because I believe understanding how the game actually works is the first step to winning it. Drop a comment and let me know where you're at in your savings journey. Are you fighting for that first
Remember, the first
$5,000?
$5,000
Already
is
passed it and can
hardest.
confirm it gets easier? Let's talk about it. And remember, the first $5,000
Now
is the
go get it.
hardest money you'll ever save, but it's also the most important. Now go get it.